one of the photos, he is not in the photo. Like gone, not in the frame. You see the piano, you see everything else in the room, but he is missing in the photo.
Do you still have the photo?
I do, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That is.
Kick the tires and start the fake fire. It's time to go camping. Today we have legendary photographer. I'm proclaiming him that. He didn't say that, but it's true. Jeremy Cowart, celebrity photographer, voted by Huffington Post as one of the most influential photographers on the internet. He's worked with Sting, he's worked with Taylor Swift, he's worked with the Kardashians, but of course his biggest excitement is that he is now working with me in this bus. So Jeremy, thank you for joining us on the campsite.
It's true. This is the peak of my career.
That's right.
Right now.
Oh man. Well, so we always have to start off. Camping is a passion of ours. Did you camp as a kid? Have you ever camped in the back of a bus? What is your story with camping? What's your relationship like with camping?
Yeah, I've camped a good bit throughout my life. I'm a Southerner. My dad and family weren't as outdoorsy as I wish we had been, but I have noticed as an adult now, like my favorite life memories are basically anytime I was outdoors, just in nature. So I'm an outdoorsman at heart, and I hope to take my own family on more camping trips.
Now, growing up, did your family go out? Was that like a thing the family did a lot together, and it was like a tradition at all, or?
We did do a lot together. We were a very close family, but camping was sadly not one of the memories I have a lot of. It was always like beach trips and,
But you're from Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
So was this a Carolina beach or
Florida?
Florida? Okay.
Yeah, all of Nashville goes to Florida every chance we can get. Yeah.
How far? I know we are currently camped out in Nashville, Tennessee in a beautiful parking lot. But how far are we from the ocean right now?
About 8 hours. Yeah.
All right, Mark, could you start the car and we can be there. All right, so you're from Nashville, and I want, before we get into your soon to be legendary status of your careers in photography, what was it like growing up in Nashville? Is it a great place to live and grow up?
It is. Yeah. Like I said, I've been here all my life in various parts of town, and it's been an amazing. I mean, I don't know anything different, so it's tough to compare. But yeah, I certainly love growing up here. I actually grew up in the music industry, like literally singing background on records for artists, and so I'm about as Nashville as it gets when it comes to growing up in the music industry and being around musicians. And now I'm a photographer of musicians, and so the music scene has always been surrounding me one way or another.
Now, you were as country music, I'm assuming, or was it all types of records?
Growing up, yeah, I was in this little kids group, and whenever a professional artist would need children's vocals, we were like the hired guns,
No
So
way.
I sang on, tons of records as a 10-year-old, and then I hit puberty, and my career tanked. Yeah,
That voice broke, and thus ended a promising career.
Exactly.
Now you have 4 children. Have they been enlisted in any sort of choral groups or professional backup vocalists?
No, they have not. They would probably refuse to do so.
Oh man. Well, at least you could take a commission or something,
Yeah,
right? I mean, you got to
yeah.
pay the bills somehow, right?
Exactly.
All right. So, as a young kid, you're singing, so you're surrounded by the arts. Is that where this creativity started to foster and be curated?
Yeah, I was in a very creative home. We were always doing music together, my parents and my brothers, and kind of in a pretty cheesy way. My family would sing together on stage at church, and so. But my parents just always, it was definitely a home of creativity, and so they would always encourage art, drawing, painting, singing, piano, drums, whatever it was. We were just an artistic family growing up.
That's awesome. Now, when did you, because I know you paint as well and you draw, you have all the sort of the artistic suite of a broad palette, if you will. But when did photography really step into the picture for you?
Not till way down the road. I took one photography class in college, and I nearly failed. It was
Really?
photography was really intimidating to me because all the f-stops and apertures and darkroom, and it's just scary. So I didn't really want to do it, didn't care for it. So I was a graphic design major, and so graduated college and was a graphic designer for a long time. And then when starting to date myself, obviously, but when everything switched from film to digital, I already had a massive advantage in knowing all things digital. I was an experienced Photoshop user. So when the digital cameras came around, I was like, oh, this is like my wheelhouse. And so I bought my first digital camera and started just photographing my friends, who were musicians. And I knew so much about Photoshop that I could really do a lot digitally. And so my career just 0 to 60 took off as a photographer, and signed an agent pretty quickly in Hollywood. And I don't know, it's kind of a really, really fast takeoff early on.
All right, I want to get into that a little bit. So I didn't even know so photographers sign with agents. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, at a very rare and high level. Yeah, it's not a super common thing.
Okay. And so what was sort of the breakout for you? How did you go from recreational, I'm studying this, to like, okay, this is something that, is going to be a more formative career path for me?
Again, it just was all very organic. I was surrounded by musicians. Literally, all of my friends were like singer songwriters or somehow, and so I would just design the records, and then once I got a camera, I would photograph them, and not having a clue what I was doing, but just putting out personal work, and that would lead to the net. They would get signed to a label, then the label would hire me to design and shoot, and then I started getting hired more and more. And then I ended up beating an artist, a big artist, beat other photographers to photograph an artist here in town. And a few of those photographers were repped by an agent in Hollywood. And so she called me and said, hey, you just beat me out for this job, and I love your work. Would you like to work together? And so that's kind of how I landed an agent, just by luck. But yeah, she certainly kind of blew me up early on in my career.
That's awesome. And as you got into this and started working with all these well-known folks, is that intimidating at all when you're going to photograph someone like that, or is that just something that I'm good at this is what I'm made to do, and it doesn't really get in your head? I'm curious about the headspace when you get ready for a big shoot with someone like that.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of nerves. I mean, I've been starstruck more times than I can count.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And I've always, in hindsight, I wish I had been more bold, like outwardly confident. I'm very inwardly confident. I know I can get the job done, but outwardly, I think I've been very quiet and just a little bit, I don't know, yeah, probably nervous and shy. But they want that bold outward energy, and I'm very laid back and kind of introverted. So but yeah, I mean, there's certainly always a lot of pressure. I mean, you're dealing with huge budgets and a lot of handlers and clients, I mean, celebrities, and their everything comes along with it. And so it's crazy in hindsight that I was dumped into that world at such a young age. Really didn't know what I was doing. Had to figure it out as I went along.
How old were you when you got the agent and you?
Well, I didn't start my photo career until I was 28 years old, like full time. That's when I quit my design company and started shooting at 28. And then I landed an agent that year of being 28. I mean, it was very quick. And so she, I remember that December, I was out in LA shooting, Sting and.
You got to shoot Sting?
Mm-hmm. Sting and all these other Hollywood elites.
That is so cool.
Then shortly after that, it was shooting for the biggest TV and movie studios in Hollywood. And again, really not having a clue what I was doing, which is so ironic because these days I'm actually very, very skilled in the studio and know equipment and lighting better than I ever have. But then I didn't have a clue. And yet, so many times Hollywood in the music or any industry, they just hire the next young thing. It doesn't matter how good
Hmm.
they are, what they know. And I was proof of that. Like, it was almost like just because I was the new guy in 28 and whatever, I was getting hired on all these just ridiculous gigs and was essentially clueless.
I have to ask, so does Sting listen to his own music during his shoots at all, or the police? I
Uh,
would be
it,
very meta, be all kind of baller.
well, I had to shoot portraits backstage of him at one of his concerts, so we weren't actually listening to any music.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, just me
that's
and Sting, no music, just awkward as it gets. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. He's Gordon Summers, man. That's a
that's right.
Sting. If you're watching this, huge fan. So is it when you get to that level and you're working with all those celebs, how do you prep for something like that? Like how do you get in a proper headspace for that?
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on the job. Every job is so different. Some are easy, small productions. Some are massive productions with a lot riding on the line. I mean, I remember the days of doing literally six-figure photo shoots, not video production, just stills that were six-figure budgets. You're renting sound stages and there's 10 sets built and there's lighting gear for miles and yeah, man, it's it's terrifying. But and so then there's somewhere you just go out with a camera on location and drive around and get cool photos. So it all depends on the job, but I was always nervous. I always couldn't sleep before a shoot, and
That's so cool. I didn't think about that because it's when you go for a shoot, I'm looking to you to inspire me. Like, hey, you're gonna make me look good, right?
yeah,
So you need to be the confident one for me.
yeah,
Because I've always funny. I'll have when I've done like headshots and they turn on the music and I have a friend and he's like, all right, there's a tiger over in the corner. Did you see the tiger? Like, look at the tiger for me. And
mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to, you know, not lose it. I just think it's hilarious sometimes,
Yeah.
but it worked to his credit. It worked for that shoot. And I thought, so do you have those little tips and tricks to help people kind of unwind and find their true self?
You try to, yeah. I mean, it's funny because I remember reading a interview with Annie Leibovitz. She's one of the most successful photographers ever. She was talking about how she just likes to watch and observe and wait and even embrace the awkwardness. And it was good to hear because I tend to do the same thing. I'm not a big director. I'm not telling them all these crazy tips, but sometimes when they're so awkward, they literally don't know what to do and they're deer in headlights. Then I'll try to, one of my favorite go-to lines is just to throw them off guard is I'll say, would you mind just slowly removing your pants? just seeing usually there's a great natural and that I don't think I've ever said that to a woman, but I'll say that to another dude just to like get a laugh. Hey bro, would you mind slowly? And the key is slowly because that's what really makes it awkward.
Oh yeah, I gotta check the Yelp reviews and see if that's in there. So you mentioned something about being young and it's just considered cool when you're younger and you're like the new thing. Is there? It seems like in a lot of creative endeavors, youth is viewed as like automatically if you're young, it must be a new fresh take, etc. And that if you're older, somehow you can't have the new fresh perspective. Does that sort of bias exist in photography as well? Like if you're as you get older, does that kind of work against you if you've just been around longer?
It really does. It's crazy that phrase I've heard a few times. The youth is wasted on the young is kind of real. I mean, it's kind of true, and I'm an example because, again, I was landing the biggest jobs of my career to date in my first year of photography. And
Wow.
again, it was just because I was like the new cool thing, for clients. And I really, really didn't understand lighting. I didn't understand cameras, didn't understand gear. I had a good eye, but I was just I was clueless, And so again, now I'm 15 years into my career. It's just crazy how much more I've learned and really good in studio lights. And now those big jobs are still being given to the 22-year-old whoever, who's also clueless. And so yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I do still do a lot of those gigs, but it's not like it was during that first rush.
Yeah.
and it's always whoever's, just like the music industry, like or in the acting in LA, and like who's the new young cool thing. It's crazy.
I wanted to be the cool new young thing, but at 34, I don't think
Yeah,
I'm ancient when it comes to
yeah.
creative pursuits.
But you know what? Like I'm not bitter at all, because I love the forced reinvention, like the forced. How do you
Hmm.
continue to pivot, and how do you continue to reinvent yourself? How do you come back after burnout, which I've had to do many many times? Not just burnout, but just where you just don't like your work anymore. So yeah, it's not something I'm bitter at. It's just how the industries work. But it is fun as you get older. Like, how do you continue to learn and stay relevant?
No, totally.
So
So at one point, the Huffington Post crowned you as the most influential photographer on the internet. I'm sure that came with a lot of great responsibility. So, what? How did that happen? What did that mean for you? And what was that practically? What did that? How did that change things for you?
well, this was gosh, 6 years ago, in 2014. When I don't know, the internet, obviously all social media's been around for a while, but 6 years ago also wasn't what it is now. So it's kind of this in between moment where there was a agency that had been hired to do all these super in-depth social media studies on all the different industries. So they went through like 30 different industries and studied influence and who is the most, not on one platform, but average across all platforms. And so when it came time for the photo industry, they did their study, and I didn't have the most engagement on any platform, but across everything: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest at the time, Google Plus, I think at the time. I forget what else was the thing at the time. Um, I actually came in second, but the guy that came in first was literally an astronaut posting photos from space. So they said he doesn't count. They said, so we're awarding you, the most influential photographer. And it was cool. I was just a random phone call with the guy, and apparently, like, it's something that I didn't really care about, but it's definitely a good, like, thing to put on your resume. And like when you're speaking or doing podcasts like this, it's a good talking point. But these days, I wouldn't even make the top, I don't know, 500 most influential photographers, mainly because I just kind of, to a certain degree, I kind of checked out. I think everybody has a love hate relationship with social media, and I've certainly had my long bouts of just like not really caring about it, not trying to be influential or an influencer or whatever. Like, I took 4 years off of Instagram altogether. Um, so yeah, like, it was cool at the time, but it's not something I put much worry or weight into these days.
Well, you are certainly the most influential photographer in this bus. I can, if that's of any comfort to
That
you,
means the world to me.
as it should,
Yes.
as it should. So voted by a unanimous poll.
Thank you.
So
Yes.
congratulations on that. So for those folks who are considering jumpstarting their career and becoming at 28, booking an agent and becoming a celebrity photographer right out of the gates, what's your wisdom for those who are considering a career in this?
It's so funny that you ask. I'm actually developing a whole platform as we speak, really on this question. Like, how do you, as a creative of any kind, build a career? And that's always been like the multi-million-dollar question that nobody can answer because it's such a complicated thing. But I've realized over time there is one answer on how you do it, and that one answer is personal work. Like, you have to dig deep within yourself, figure out what you're passionate about, and build out personal projects that build your career. Like you doing this bus right now, this camp thing is a personal project that will expand into other opportunities. Like, you can't, it's no longer good enough to just take good pictures and think people are going to hire you. Like, good pictures are everywhere. Everybody's a good photographer. This iPhone takes amazing photos. So you can't, it's not like the old days where you could just be a good photographer and like start a career. Like, you gotta do something that is worth attention, and that is personal work. And you
So
gotta,
does that mean also you have to carve out like your niche? Is it would your advice be like, hey, because when I heard about you, it was like, oh, he's the influential photographer and he does a lot of celebrity work, right? So that's like
Mhm.
kind of okay. That was what got back to me first. But would it help for someone aspiring to do photography to say like, oh, they're the one who they're the astronaut who does photographs of
Mhm.
space, or they're like, does it help to have a
Yeah,
carved out niche?
it does. I mean, there are photographers who are kind of like, I shoot babies and weddings and cars and senior portraits and families, and I'm available. Hire me for anything. Tons of those, and they never really get anywhere in terms of really scaling a career. I mean, they can stay busy shooting that stuff the rest of their life, but it's not really a. I do believe that to have a really great career, you do need to specialize to a certain extent.
Now, you've obviously done a lot of work and a lot of diverse clients, with a lot of diverse clients. Have you had any weird shoots or anything that would raise an eyebrow? Besides telling them to slowly unbutton their pants.
Yes, I've had lots of weird shoots. One that comes to mind, I won't.
Yeah, no
I, w-
names, no names. They're all
I
anonymous here.
won't say the name, but I will give a clue, a funny clue. But I once photographed somebody who has run for president this year. And they were just crazy. They were out of their minds, screaming at everybody for no reason. Just because people always ask me, who's the biggest diva you've ever photographed? And it wasn't an actress or musician. It was actually
A politician.
now trying to be a politician. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and I appreciate that. With voting within 9 days, you did
They're not currently, they're not
Yeah.
one of the two current presidential contenders, but they tried to become one.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, folks, you're going to have to tune in for episodes much later to figure out when Jeremy does the big reveal.
Yeah.
So, I guess that was going to be your scary story you're going to tell by the fires.
It wasn't. No, it wasn't, but it could
Wow.
be. Yeah.
What is the most beautiful thing you've ever photographed nature-wise? Or is there something that just took your breath away? It was majestic.
Yes. I did a photo shoot in Iceland with an artist named Imogen Heap. And it was just the two of us and her boyfriend and my assistant. And it was just amazing. Like Iceland's like a video game. Every, 10 miles is like a whole different scene, you know.
Iceland's amazing. I actually tell you, that's the most beautiful place I think I've ever been. I got to go in October about 4 years ago and drive the ring road. And it was, you're right. You turn the corner and there's golden, like almost like wheat, it looks like, against this blue ocean. And then suddenly green everywhere and then black, volcanic beach.
Exactly.
And it's pretty accessible. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are going now, but I was surprised at how, coming from California, how, it was a 2-hour flight to Portland and then a 5.5-hour flight to Iceland. It's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. I'd love to go back there. It was incredible.
Mark, we got to figure a way to get the bus to Iceland. So that would be a next level for, I went camping in Iceland with Jeremy Cowart. That would be awesome. Who would you love to photograph that you've not yet worked with? And then we'll see if they're behind the curtain right now.
Gosh, so many.
Because they're watching, obviously.
Oh, totally. I know Bono's watching, so Bono, I'd love to.
What would you say to Bono if he was here right now?
If he's here right now, I would talk to him about the hotel I'm building. Yes.
Mark, would you bring out our special... What? Oh, okay. Actually, I guess Bono's not here, so I'm sorry.
Dang it.
I know.
Y'all are such a letdown.
I know. That'd be a pretty awesome shoot, right? If you're just like, dude, I was doing this podcast and the guy knew I was going to... He had Bono waiting in a parking lot in Franklin, Tennessee.
Oh my gosh.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's
I would probably pee on your floor or something really embarrassing.
No, that's a fake fire, but we still would request you do not urinate on it. Who is, just because I know we're in Music City, so I have to ask, who are the folks you love listening to while you work in your playlist for fostering creativity?
Lots of Tom York, lots of Coldplay, lots of really depressing singer-songwriters. I have a custom playlist that I'm always adding to, and it's like 500 just sad, mellow acoustic songs.
Oh, man. And one more question on shoots too. What's the most disastrous photo shoot you've ever had happen?
Oh man, There's a lot of those stories. Disastrous. Can think of a recent shoot I did where the shoot went great, but somehow all the files and the delivery and the transferring and all the digital work afterwards, like we lost the shoot, and
Dang.
that's a bad day.
That
That's a
is a
real
bad
bad
day,
day.
man.
Yeah.
All right, so we've come to that point on our camping trip. Getting a little hungry, culinarily feeling a little inspired. Obviously, I'm excited to do this segment with you, but it has often been said in Inuit culture that you may build an igloo, but you may not roast a s'more, for your igloo may be no more. So, on that note, actually, no one says that, but we like saying that. We invite our guests to help make the camping trip complete by designing their perfect s'more. If you had all ingredients, anything, the world is your oyster. You are obviously at the intersection of creativity and empathy, as per your mission statement here. So I would like to know, what is the s'more that Jeremy Cowart would create?
Well, I'm on a really stupid restrictive diet due to health issues. But if I were not on that diet, it would involve Nutella.
Ooh.
Some Nutella, some bananas, some strawberries. I don't know, maybe either or. And a s'more. Is there such thing as a Nutella bar? There needs to be.
We should talk about that
you
offline.
Need
and
to,
see,
yeah, you need to. That needs to be a part of this. Yeah, just Nutella. Anything, yeah. And granola, some gluten-free granola. I could eat that. I would just suffer the consequences, but it'd be worth it.
Oh man, are you a marshmallow fan?
Nope.
No. Yes, yeah. No one I have found likes. I mean, everyone likes the ingredients separately. Marshmallow is questionable for some people, but together it makes something interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I could see marshmallows still working with my other ingredients I just listed, but I don't. Yeah, I'm not just sitting around popping marshmallows.
Well, I know you love acai bowls, and I was hoping.
I do.
I was like, how do you make an acai s'more?
Oh my gosh! Yeah, there you go. That's my answer. The acai s'more would be amazing. I have no idea how you'd make it, but dude, I think I literally eat one acai bowl a day. Like
Wow.
I'm obsessed. Yeah.
Wow, I love acai bowls. I'm in San Diego. We have a very famous cafe called Swami's,
Nice.
and they do incredible acai bowls. It's fantastic. All right. Now, also, I believe this actually transcends not only federal law but state law. It is a requirement that a spooky story be told around a campfire, especially a carbon neutral campfire like we have right now. So, Jeremy, as a photographer, you have the ability to obviously use technology to gaze into the metaphysical being of all the people you take photos of. What is something otherworldly, spooky, mysterious that you can share with us that has happened to you?
I do have a good story. I was once doing a photo shoot in Los Angeles at the
Of course.
I think it's called it's a big castle. It's like the Magic House or
The Magic Castle.
Magic Castle. Thank you. Is it a castle? It's like the Magic Castle. Anyway, I was in the Magic Castle doing a photo shoot of this artist, and we were in the ghost piano room, whatever that is. Apparently, you call out to this piano and you request a song, and it just plays the song, whatever you request. So we're in that room, and my musician is sitting on the bench where the ghost plays the piano. And I've got like 20 people around me. It's a big shoot, and I'm tethering, which means your camera's connected to a computer screen, so everybody can see the files. And so I'm like, I'm even on a tripod, like locked down, and I'm shooting photos. The lights are flashing. The artist is like, 5 feet in front of me on the bench. And in one of the photos, he is not in the photo. Like gone, not in the frame. You see the piano, you see everything else in the room, but he is missing in the photo.
Do you still have the photo?
I do, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That is a true story that happened years ago.
What do you think happened?
It's my only real ghost story. I have no idea. He was on the ghost bench. All the other photos, he's there. I took probably, I don't know, 100 or 200 photos during that little setup.
We should see if we could get that and show the listeners. So we can.
I do need to go back and find it. I haven't looked for it in a long time, but yeah, I keep everything, so
Dude, that's trippy,
got to
man.
be there somewhere. Yeah,
Okay, and that really happened to you.
that really happened. Yeah,
Oh my gosh,
it's a real thing.
Magic Castle. That place is gnarly.
It is.
I
Yeah.
know. I should go camping there. Terrifying. Okay. Well, as we near the end of our camping trip, we now turn to the stars to ponder life's great mysteries, to conjure up the deepest questions from the innermost being of your soul. So I think I want to start with, I guess, the important stuff. So you're a husband and a father. What is that like? Like, yeah, everyone says it's the best, toughest thing, but for you, Jeremy, what's fatherhood and being a husband like?
Man, just nonstop chaos, really. And yes, good chaos, and for sure the hardest thing I've ever done, the most beautiful thing, the most rewarding thing, all the things. We have 2 boys, 2 girls, 2 biological and 2 adopted kids, and one of our adopted kids is the hardest challenge I've ever faced as a human being. And so yeah, he's
Worse than the political candidate?
yes,
Okay, well,
but close. Close. No, yeah, it's he's a challenge. Parenting is a challenge altogether, but adoption can bring a whole world of different challenges. But for those listening, like our other adopted child is easy as it gets, So adoption is not always hard. We just have one challenging situation, one not challenging. So,
man.
but yeah, I mean, my wife's working full time. I'm working full time. 4 kids at 3 different schools. So like morning and afternoons, we become Uber drivers to all the things. So
And they don't pay you.
they don't. No,
No. Net
we pay them.
Yeah, net export on the cash there.
Yeah.
How'd you meet your wife?
We met in college. Long time ago. I was actually on stage playing and singing. I had just finished leading music for church, like college group thing, and I was still on stage, just working the crowd, trying to work the girls, and I spotted her and went and talked to her right after the thing, and she was dating somebody, and but that night she had a weird thing happen in her apartment, like where she was scared because there were guys like knocking on her window or something, and I lived close by, so she called me, and of course I came over and
to help her.
well, yeah, totally, to help her with my
To minister to her in her time of need.
extremely bulky 120-pound frame, and scared everybody away. No, but yeah, well, I did go over there and we just hung out, and then she broke up with her boyfriend like a week later, and we've been together 23 years since.
So that was the most successful shoot you've had then, was that night?
Yes, for
Wow.
sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where'd you go to school again?
Middle Tennessee State University,
Awesome.
MTSU. Yeah.
Awesome. And so when you're trying to figure out whether to get married or how, did you know she was the one? Or I love asking this question because half people I interview say, "Oh man, lightning bolt struck me," or whatever, and it's like it was so clear, and I was like, "Nah, kind of just over time, just fell in love."
I do remember telling my friends like within 2 weeks, like I've met my wife. She was just really different. I remember being at a social event where everybody was, socializing, partying, whatever, hanging out. And she was in the back of the room, like spending time with a person in a wheelchair because they were by themselves. And I just thought, like, that girl's different. Like, that girl, that's legit awesome, And so I knew she was special and different, and just so easy to be with. And that's really been the hallmark of our marriage, is that we have never fought. Like, we don't fight, 23 years in, there's no, we just don't, never have. And not to say we're amazing, but I think we're just both laid back. And I mean, we've had a few, maybe a handful of intense, arguments, but over 23 years, that's pretty a lot of people have intense arguments once a day.
Have you won any of them?
Not likely. No, it's not likely. You know what we do? I once was watching this thing on relationship advice, and it's the only time I've ever heard anybody suggest this relationship tip. And it made me laugh so hard because I realized that's what my wife and I do. They basically said to diffuse tension with humor. And so like when I'm legit mad at my wife or she's legit mad at me, we actually threaten each other's lives. And it's really funny. So for example, if we're in the car and I'm driving and she says something that I don't like, I'll often say, I'm gonna hit this eject button and it's gonna pop you out through the roof and I'm gonna watch you roll down the road behind me and it's gonna be amazing. I'll even say that in front of my kids. Like we'll invent serious ways we're gonna end each other's lives, or I will punch you in the throat. Very Anchorman type humor, and oddly enough, like it actually works. It's just become this thing that we've done forever. Even with my kids, like we'll just say, "You're the worst," like you're the absolute worst, and somehow it just kind of diffuses it lets you release. The other person knows you're just being stupid, and I don't know, something about it works.
I want to know who the therapist was that that conceived of that treatment. Also, I would, for our listeners who live in closer quarters, perhaps, and share walls with neighbors,
yes,
perhaps they should keep their voices down when exercising threats.
Exactly. We'll also just look at each other and do this. That means I'm just gonna cut your head off. Yeah.
Well, that's probably a good segue into faith. Despite existential threats to your spouse,
yes.
you're pretty open about faith and purpose, and obviously I want to save the crown jewel of your projects for the end here. But have you always been a person of faith?
Yeah. I mean, I've been a believer since I was 10 years old. So I was raised in the church and been. I'm like the trophy Christian camp kid. It did all the camps. And grew up at the church, and yeah.
So when did it become particularly real for you? Because I know, obviously, especially growing up in the South, I imagine you're kind of Christian by default, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it felt real. Like I would say in high school, it felt like it was a real. I mean, I believe that I honestly, believe that when I was 10, when I first became a believer. But yeah, I think throughout high school and college, and then obviously the rest of my life, as you grow and mature, becomes more, you understand more and unlearn a lot, probably just as much as you learn. So yeah, a lot of learning and unlearning.
Yeah. Do you what's prayer look like for you?
Yeah. One day I'm gonna ask God why He made me so ADD. So I've never been, as long as I can remember, I've never been one who can just sit and like pray as a good prayer. Because I'm so insanely ADD. Like I can't focus my thoughts, and so I'm just like, what, God made me that way, and so it is what it is. But my prayer feels more like a continual listening to God. It's a lot more listening than it is talking. And I just feel honestly that God speaks to all of us. Everybody calls that different things, even amongst different faiths and beliefs. But I don't know. I just feel like I'm always listening and receiving, and obviously I do pray, but I'm just not one of those like, I can't pray for an hour,
So that when the psalmist describes the individual who meditates on the law day and night, that is not
nope.
You are not that one.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Got it.
I remember even being a young kid at camp and been like watching, when do you split up and everybody go have their quiet time, but like look across campus. I was like, man, everybody's so good at this, and I'm not. And it's just because I've always been truly scatterbrained.
Now with 4 children, you don't have to worry about that because there is no such thing as quiet time, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah. Yes, truly, literally. Yeah.
Oh man, do you have a crazy story or something of a time when you felt like you had a particular prayer answered, or something that was really profound for you that you could share?
Yeah. It's weird. I think anytime somebody talks about like God speaking to us, I've had a few moments like that in my life, and I don't actually audibly hear a voice like God, coming in, but I think what the rest of the world calls ideas to me are God speaking to us. They're the most, when an idea strikes you, I think that's like the most valuable thing in life. Like create fresh creativity
Mm.
is such an asset that so many people push away, or they think I can never do that. But for me, it's like I've learned that that is like the most important moments in life, when there's fresh, in my opinion, divine, thing that just comes out of nowhere. So it wasn't really an answer to prayer, but it was in
Yeah.
2012. I was on a photo shoot in a hotel in Los Angeles, and out of nowhere, truly nowhere, God gave me this massive vision for a hotel chain. And I have no experience in hotels, no family history in hotels, no friends or any interest in hospitality. In fact, I hate hotels. I find them quite unimaginative and boring. And so for that to happen was and for me not to be seeking, wasn't like burnout. I was like actually at the height of my photo career. And so for it to come out of nowhere and not only be an idea for a hotel, but like specific vision down to the little details, down to the marketing, the how we would build it, down to the name, down to the tagline, all of that hit me within a 60-second window, in a moment's notice, just walking down a hallway. And so it's in those moments that I'm like, okay, that's not me. I can't take credit for that when it's that random and that specific and clear. And um, so yeah, like that was a God moment. And I actually had another one of those recently. But anyway, so yeah, I've certainly had a few crazy moments like that.
Well, what a wonderful segue
Yeah,
into
yeah.
the Purpose Hotel, which I already made this joke earlier, but when I was reading it, I have on several occasions juxtaposed it to the Porpoise Hotel, which is obviously not a marine biology preservation hotel,
Mm-hmm.
which is also a spinoff you could do.
Mm-hmm. The porpoise.
That's right. The porpoise driven life.
Yes.
That's right. So,
Porpoise driven hotel.
that's right.
Yeah.
So tell us about it. This is such a cool concept, and seems on one hand it's like, how come no one has done this, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, this should be something that's done yesterday.
Yeah.
But tell us about it. You've had some incredible Kickstarter campaigns. You've been working on this in fact, you said it was such a big and bold idea. It was almost nerve wracking. You said, I don't know if I can do this. So
I didn't do anything for 3 years. Literally 3 years. I said no to the idea. Had the idea in 2012, which was pretty like, now it's super normal for businesses to be socially conscious and giving back and all that stuff. But in 2012, Tom Shoes existed, Charity Water existed. But outside of that, like socially conscious brands wasn't a big thing. And so yeah, I spent 3 years in fear of it. So fast forward to 2015, when a series of events led me to believe that this needs to happen, which I'll rewind. So the idea was that I had in 2012 is to build a global hotel chain where everything inside the building basically helped people outside of the building. So your blankets could come from nonprofits, the soaps and shampoos, the artwork could come from humanitarian artists. The every room sponsors a child and tells their story. Just everywhere you look, there's reason behind why it's there. We source everything from nonprofits. So by staying there, you're kind of having like this insane amplified impact on not one nonprofit or one cause, but 100+ causes. So you just know that you've helped all kinds of ways just by choosing our brand. So yeah, I knew it was a big idea and a good idea, but spent a long time in fear of it. 2015, we decided to start with the public with a Kickstarter. Launched Kickstarter 2016. that took us through 17 to like finish and fulfill and mail all the perks and rewards. 2018 or 19 was really spent just diving into all the investors and architects and finding land and raising money, and then we are set to run this year, and this little COVID-19 thing hit and has literally decimated the hotel industry. I mean, to a degree which obviously nobody saw coming. Um, but oddly enough, as we sit here in this fall of 2020, there's still a lot of good momentum for us personally. And so I still, I mean, I don't think I know it's still going to happen because it's a big project. Where like we're paying a lease on land downtown Nashville. Like it's real, there's a lot of people involved, but still it's hard not to succumb to doubts and fears all the time, especially with the pandemic. And, but yeah, we march on, to building this crazy
That's
dream.
awesome. I do have to ask, just from a practical standpoint too, because you launched a very ambitious Kickstarter the first time, and then I think you said you fell short, just a little short of the goal, and then the next time did it again. But so, what advice do you have for those who want to do these big, ambitious Kickstarters?
Yeah, to keep your rewards with Kickstarter, you have to offer like a reward or a perk. And so we went all in with our hotel. We're like, we're gonna do coffee tables and robes and paper and pens and all kinds of stuff, leather bags and clothes and T-shirts. And we had no idea how actually difficult that would be to have all those things made and then have them shipped.
Oh, totally.
And so I think they're fine as long as you really keep, the more digital perks and rewards, the better. So you're not having to physically mail, because we had over 5,000 people back our campaign. And so that was every single one of those orders was completely custom and unique. And so it was just months and months of work to actually fulfill all those. So it was, I don't know that I would do it again, if I'm honest, because it was a lot more work than we expected. But it did serve its purpose. More than the money was just the PR. Like it went pretty viral at that phase, and launched us into the hotel industry. And we are featured on Rolling Stone and Condé Nast and all kinds of places.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, bless you for that. That is such a cool project, and I am so excited. And obviously, Sting and all the other people watching this will be so blown away by that. And that is such a cool project. We like to finish on an upbeat note with just celebrating gratitude and what makes life good. So, kind of rapid succession. What are a couple things you're just immensely grateful for?
Man, let's say health right now, especially with just finding out an hour ago that one of my best friends has COVID. Super grateful for health and a healthy family and just water to drink, a roof above my head. It's the simple things for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What does your spouse need to hear that you don't say enough besides death threats?
It's a really good. That was good. You got me with that one. Yeah, I mean, that I'm so proud of her. She's killing it as a realtor right now, and I do tell her that. She needs a break, needs her own trip or space or time to get away from all of us and work and everything. She doesn't stop. She is truly a superhero. So,
what's the good stuff in life? Like, what's a couple just simple pleasures or something that you just love?
Man, just I'll say one thing work related, one thing family related. I mean, just doing anything with my kids and wife, like going on trips. Like we just went last weekend to a massive water park hotel, and I think I rode.
That was the Porpoise Hotel.
That was the Porpoise, yes. Sweet, you had to swim with porpoise. What's the plural of
porpoises?
Porpoises.
Yeah.
I think I was just gonna make up the word porpoise and stick with it.
Porpoise.
Yeah, but just I did every water slide with my kids and anything, just having fun with the kids. That sounds like such a generic dad thing to say, but it's true. work wise, just I'm an artist at heart, truly, like a painter, and for me to have time just to create and make weird crap that nobody understands, I don't even understand it, but it's in me, and I got to get it out. So anytime I get to just release and create, is my happy place.
That's awesome. Who do you owe big time?
These are good questions. You should think about doing this more often.
Should I do a podcast?
You should, because I do a lot of these.
There's so many parking lots in America that we have yet to visit.
Are. I do a lot of these things, and your questions definitely win. Who do I owe a lot to?
Yeah, who do you owe a lot? Who do you owe big time?
My business partner, for sure. He's just he's really carried the weight of the Purpose Hotel. I mean, I'm the one who gets all the attention because it was my idea. You know, I'm the creative behind it, but to pull off something of this magnitude, nobody will ever understand how much work it takes to execute it. And so my business partners poured literally thousands and thousands of hours over the last 5 years into making this thing come to life. And it's so much legal and business and financial and investors, all of which I don't know anything about. You know, I'm truly an artist, and I'm all right brain, extreme right brain. That is where I live. And so the left brain side of this is the majority of what we do. And so, yeah, I owe a lot to him.
That's awesome. This last one we should tag team, because I actually think Bono would make a great interview too, and you'd like to photograph him. So what do you want to say to Bono about why you want to shoot him?
Well,
or work with him or something.
I just like the way he's used his talent to point to things bigger than himself. You know, so many artists and celebrities, they just absorb it and love it, and it's all vanity and more money, more power, more fame. Whereas Bono has always been an example of like holding the mirror, like having the attention hit him and then using it to point to whether it's AIDS or water or whatever current devastating situation is happening. So such a good example for everybody. I mean, obviously I do love his music, especially Joshua Tree. Still, I don't love all the records. I'm not like a huge U2 fan per se, but I just respect. What's that?
That's cool. Give him a little, like, you know, I mean, you're cool. I mean, yeah. Like,
no.
I mean, I want to like hang with you, but you know, I'm not fanboying you. That's good. You don't do that in Nashville.
I tend to sound. I just was starting to sound like this massive fan, where I think you can be a huge fan of somebody without necessarily being like. I feel the same way about Taylor Swift. I'm a massive fan of her, but I don't really listen to her music. You know.
But if you want to come get interviewed, Taylor, we'd be happy to photograph and partner up on that.
It's true.
That's right. I went camping with Taylor Swift. It's pretty pretty good name.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that. Awesome. All right, Bono, if you're listening, in the name of love, please help him out.
Well done.
Well, we are parked where the streets have no name. I've actually noticed that out here. There's a lot of signs I can't read, so that song rings true. No.
Killing it.
I know. Well, Bono, we will continue on with or without you. So. You've been camping with us. Thanks for camping, folks.
Amazing.
Thanks for joining us, folks. If you want to help us out, and we're confident you do, go ahead and hit that subscribe button here on our YouTube channel. And if you ever feel like just listening to these, you can check us out on all major podcast streaming platforms by just searching for I Went Camping With. And there, you should also subscribe. Thanks again, folks.